didn't. Oh, we're live now. Beautiful. What's up, everybody? Welcome, ladies, gentlemen, and everybody in between on the spectrum, whatever your fucking pronoun is. Welcome to episode number 92 of No Bucks Given right here on the Horny Goat YouTube channel and the Horny Goat Podcasting Network, wherever you are listening to us from, whether it be Spotify, iTunes, or whatever the fuck it's called now, Apple Music. I can't keep track anymore. iHeartRadio. The Space Tub, Hubble Telescope, wherever the fuck you guys are listening to us from. Welcome. Appreciate it. This is the show where we talk about everything and anything we want to talk about that's going on in the world today. We've got some interesting topics this evening to discuss. First off, Basement, love the background you selected. I really like that
Christmas
little cabin in the by the river out in the middle of nowhere.
Canada.
Why you gotta?
That's how every house looks in Canada.
I somehow really doubt that.
That's about a $7 million house in Canada.
Yeah.
I say up in Northeast, it's probably about oh god, that's probably at least a couple million at this point with the way the real estate is going. But anywho, we got the usual crew with us. We got Basement, we got JP for now, and Heather. What's going on, everybody? How's y'all? I know this is a loaded question. How's everyone doing this weekend?
I am feeling a little better, but I am still not feeling like I can give my full gusto.
Oh, that's close.
I'll give my full
this
gusto.
whatever it is that I have, and I think it's a sinus infection / flu / cold /
bubonic plague.
Bubonic plague is it killed me this week. I did not work at all this week. I didn't do shit. I did the dishes once, I think. The only thing that I have done is we did go over to my aunt and uncle's, and then we went over to my aunt's today. That's all we've really done. We haven't done nothing.
It's fascinating how
anything.
Not to say like that you're experiencing like a little cold, but like it's funny how like sometimes those type of like winter or seasonal colds will just fuck you up.
Well, usually for me they don't. Like I can usually handle them. This one Heather can vouch for it. This one I've done nothing, wanted to do nothing but sleep the whole time. And it's not COVID because I took a test.
That's even the worst part is to not know what the fuck it is.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's just it's a flu with a cold and sinus, which causes sinus infection at the end, which is where I'm at. Wendy's still fighting it a little bit, but we thought she would took a turn for the worse today on the way to my aunt's. She
puked in the car.
And it was full on phlegm. It was nothing but phlegm.
Oh, I know. That's
poor
fucking,
Wendy.
That's what's been happening with me. Like a
happy
huge
birthday to Wendy, by the way.
Today was her birthday today.
Happy birthday, by the way.
She shrugged it off and moved on with the day and played with her cousins today. So
man, I miss those days of immortality. Like when you were a kid, where like nothing could get. Like,
it takes a lot to put like a kid down for good. That's a weird sentence, but
I out of context, we're monsters. In context, it's worse. I do miss those days where it's like, hey, your kid hasn't slept in like 3 days, and I'm pretty sure they have some sort of like some sort of ammonia. Yeah, they're cool. They just watch this cartwheel. And they're just they're fine. They're fine. Rub some dirt on them on their forehead. They're good to go. I do miss that. We got the usual wonderful cohorts in the chat as always. We got Federico. We got Alpha. We got Paul Arzol. We've got Aru, Shinshu, and Neos. What's up, everybody? Appreciate all your support. Make sure you guys are new here. Subscribe, like, comment, share, all that fun jazz. Rate us on your favorite podcasting platform so we can get more eyeballs on the show. And Rue's like, let's talk about the elephant in the room, which is of course that JP farted.
And I did. I literally did fart. I did.
That's why the camera is not on.
No, visible fart.
That's fucking that was fucking hilarious. That's why the camera's not on, because he farted. All right, I guess we'll just jump right into it. We collectively last night watched WWE Survivor Series, which personal note, god damn it, that was perfect timing. And scared the shit out of me at the same time. So that was that's why my camera's off. So personal note, Survivor Series is actually one of my favorite pay-per-views. It's been around for a while. Obviously, there's a couple War Games matches. We'll talk about the overall show in and of itself, but also the big elephant in the room, which is, of course, the fact that there was a major, massive return for the first time in a long. Actually, there's technically 3, but yes, the big return. Not Randy Orton. We're talking about the legend, the man who got the biggest reaction, or one of the biggest reactions of the evening. R-Truth is back.
Yes.
And he had ruffles.
He had chips doing whatever the fuck he was doing.
He was hiding behind a fucking sofa.
The funny thing about that whole segment is that the Pretty Deadly and Otis were arguing over whether it was a chip or a crisp. And R-Truth comes out and he says, well, he doesn't come out. They like, you need to pick those up. Otis is going to kick the fuck out of Pretty Deadly, right? And he pops up and he goes, I've been listening the whole time. And it's not a chip and it's not a crisp. It's a ruffle, which was the funniest thing about the entire show. He saved that segment. He saved that segment. I will say that much right now. But it was good to see him again, because he does bring some of that comic relief.
The comic relief with the ability to actually wrestle.
He can wrestle.
First off, whatever sort of evil voodoo magic or witch doctor he has gotten a hold of to never age.
Yes.
God damn.
30 for life.
I know the phrase "black don't crack," but I mean, good lord. The man does not age. I don't understand what his secret is. Yeah. I think someone asked him that on like a live stream. He's like, he just like in his voice like lots of carrots, and then just moved on to whatever the fuck. Like it just moved on with whatever the fucking point of the conversation was. Rapid fire. We'll save obviously the big return, because there's a lot to talk about the big return. But some quick rapid fire overall thoughts about Survivor Series in itself. We had the men's and women's War Games matches. Rhea Ripley and Zoe Stark for the women's title. Santos Escobar versus Dragon Lee. And I completely blank on the third singles match. What the fuck was the third singles match?
Gunther versus Miz.
Yes, Gunther versus Miz. Yep.
I do like that they took all of the filler out of
the pay-per-view.
Like, they didn't have like 20 matches and all of them were filler matches. They took out the filler, which made it a watchable premium live event, I'm going to say. They made it watchable. Go ahead, Basement.
No, I just said PLA. As in premium live event.
Oh.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. Like, the one thing you'll see with Triple H, and we saw it in NXT, is they'll give their the matches that they're going to showcase, they'll give them a bit of time to actually work, and they won't overload the pay-per-view with too much. And you also probably won't see many pay-per-views go above the 3-hour mark anymore. I don't think.
It's TakeOver.
Yeah. And like, I mean, for me, that's like you're there to watch wrestling and the payoff of the weekly programming. You don't necessarily need all the fucking bullshit. You're there for like that's the, I mean, it's the main events. That's the fucking culmination of what you've been working towards for the most part. So I mean, I thought Survivor Series overall wasn't too bad. I mean, I like the gimmicky matches. Yeah. Like the War Games match, it's like one and done. And we were discussing this when we were watching it. It's like, if I've seen one, I've seen them all. I haven't really seen one that's like one done by like modern day WWE that has really been different than any of the others. All the spots are the same, all the hype is the same, and all pretty much what happens in the match is the same. The women's match, That was the one that opened the card. It
Yeah.
was solid.
So I
That's what
liken
I'll
the
say.
War Games match to a multi-man Hell in a Cell match. Is all it is.
It is. The
I,
only
I
difference
don't.
is well, actually, there's not much difference, to be honest.
I don't. I understand why they have two of them. I do agree with Basement. Everybody complaining about it, you might as well stop because it's never not going to be a thing. And you can still complain about it. I'm just saying you're wasting your breath complaining about it because you know why they're never not going to do that? Because if the men are going to do it, the women have to have a match. And if they do that, WWE is going to be stuck in this, oh, they just don't give a shit about women's wrestling. Well, if you've been paying attention, they really don't give a shit about women's wrestling. Because if you look at the championship match that they had, they really didn't fucking build anything to it, and they've just been doing nothing but feeding people, feeding females or women to Rhea Ripley, which makes no fucking sense.
Hold on. Before you keep going, I just have to applaud you for that beautiful setup because you're like, a lot of people say that they don't give a shit about women's wrestling, and they don't give a shit about women's wrestling.
If they did, they would have built somebody to actually possibly beating Rhea Ripley. That's the whole business of what they're doing. Io Sky is a better champion than Rhea Ripley is, in my eyes.
I agree with that.
I think Io Sky, what they see in Rhea Ripley, I get it. I don't hate Rhea Ripley, but where is she? Where is she? She's stuck in with these 4 clowns that have fucking no direction. One is going to have no direction when the fucking group splits up. One will. One has, but is a has-been, and one is apparently a bobblehead.
He does have a big fucking head.
I just
you don't see it. Okay.
There's a couple things.
This is why I said they don't give a shit about women's wrestling. They only have women's wrestling because they want to be all inclusive. That's it. I'm not shitting on women's wrestling, but nobody does women's wrestling right anymore.
Well, that's because the women don't do women's wrestling right. But the first thing I want to address is that the Judgment Day stable should have that's a stable that should have been destroyed a while ago. And the only thing that's kept it together is a storyline that is not for everybody with Dominic Mysterio and fucking Rhea Ripley and the mommy shit. That is somehow keeping that stable alive. The rest of the stuff nobody really cares too much about. It's a waste of a bunch of talent. When it comes to the War Games, I actually don't agree that they need to do both the women's and men's War Games. The matches are so similar that they only really need to do one. And it's weird because I think when it comes to the Royal Rumble, they need to do a women's and a men's. But with War Games, they don't. I really don't think they do.
I agree with that, actually.
I'm not saying that I disagree with you. I do agree with you. I just don't think they're ever going to not have both of them on the same night.
So I don't think they get hit with the equality, the chiming in of equality for women if they just did one or the other at Survivor Series War Games. I honestly don't. Especially when they do the Royal Rumble with both.
They do. Because I see it. People are like, oh, well, there was a match that they did. Hell in a Cell match. I want to say it was a Hell in a Cell match. They did a Hell in a Cell match, and everybody's on fucking social media is like, how come they didn't have a women's Hell in a Cell match? If they're doing one for the men, how come they're not doing one for the women?
Yeah, but those are people that are going to bitch about everything anyway. Honestly, I wouldn't kowtow to that. And I get what you're saying, and I understand why they do it.
I'm not saying that they should.
But I think they could get away with it without doing men's and women's at War Games.
this might be a bit of a poor example, but I think I know what you're referring to, base, or like I get the vibe that you're talking about. It's like it's almost like when they were ironically pigeonholing these pay-per-views with these specialty match pay-per-views, where like you have to have this type of match in order to do it. And I remember there was like one. Remember they had Hell in a Cell as a pay-per-view way back when. I remember when like one of the first ones they did Sheamus versus Randy Orton. This is when Sheamus was like first getting like in the main event push. It was Sheamus versus Randy Orton for the first time ever for the WWE Championship. So it's not like they had a WWE title match before this. So their first pay-per-view or PLE match was inside Hell in a Cell. It's like that's very ass backwards and unnecessary. You don't need to have that. It doesn't need to have that. So I feel like it's in the same in a similar vein of that, where it's like I get the idea of doing this for quality's sake, but like you don't have to do it if you don't need to do it.
Honestly, they could have had just the women's War Games match, and as long as the rest of the card was actually good and had storylines leading into it, I don't think anybody would give a shit. And then next year, do the men's. Do whatever team or group storyline is most important at the time.
Yep.
Yeah.
It just doesn't make sense. I get it, JP. You're 100% right, because that's not the way WWE thinks. They got into this mindset where it's like, if the men do it, the women have to do it, and we have to stick to that. I think that's slowly
it's
changing, though. I think it like
I would hope.
I honestly feel like for the last 5 or 6 years, the women, when they started like getting the women's division actually decent, then they started doing that. They're like, well, we've got a pretty good women's division, and they can do. Like the whole idea was, if the men can do it, the women can do it. But then the women's division fucking crumbled under itself, and then you're stuck with, if the men can do it, the women can do it, but the women can't do it because they're not willing to do it, and they're shit.
Well, I will admit that like even like that in general, women's wrestling especially in this last year, and in general when Triple H books is weak. Like it's one of the criticisms I have of like Triple H's booking, but I can tell that like you can 1000% tell he's trying.
Well, I don't actually blame Triple H. Honestly, I think he's trying to recover a product that killed itself while he was like in and out of fucking booking and in and out of being in charge, because we saw him in control of a women's division in NXT, and it was fucking great. So it's not like he can't do it. It's just like the product has been back and forth, and the diva aspect of the women that they don't want to let it go is inherently going to always kill the women's division.
By the way, just a little quick side note, Paul Arzolsa in the chat, and it's a great segment just in terms of the general of these pay-per-views. He said we don't need 6 to 7 hours of a pay-per-view or PLE that doesn't pay anything off. And you're 1000% agree with that.
Right. And I don't think you're ever going to see that with Triple H. You're not going to see that. You might see
minus Mania.
Mania is still going to be a 2-day event, but it's probably going to be 5 to 6 matches per day. And
it's quality over quantity.
Yeah.
So he's doing what he did last night was quality over quantity, but the two War Games matches were pretty good. They were more for storytelling, but they didn't. And I can agree to a certain extent. I'm starting to lose my voice. I can agree to a certain extent that they didn't do a very good job of storytelling.
This to me, and I'm not saying this necessarily in a bad way, but in terms of like going against it, this did not feel like one of the big 4 pay-per-views. It felt like more of a middle of the road pay-per-view, which is not. It's not that I hated it.
I've never been a fan of Survivor Series.
I felt like Survivor Series could be very good, but in order to do it, you have to do the brand split right, and you have to have things worth something.
Well, I think
Paul's suggestion.
Let's keep in mind that Triple H brought back general managers. He brought back GMs, which is great. So you're going to get, how we always talk about how we're going to get that every once in a while you'll see the interaction between the two brands every once in a while, but you won't see it all the time. Where we'll finally build. I think they're going to go back to what Survivor Series actually should be intended for in today's wrestling. The winner of War Games gets to pick. The winner of it gets number 30 spot at Royal Rumble. Or, I'm not saying that's what's going to happen, but something to that effect. They're going to get rewarded with something.
That, in my honest opinion, is the best, especially with them eliminating Crown Jewel from the interim.
Right.
You should have the result. Survivor Series, because you're having brand versus brand for the most part, you can't conclude a lot of storylines. So you have to have something on the line. And that thing that makes the most sense would be 30th entrant in the Royal Rumble. And it's not necessarily the person, but which team wins it. I think too, like they added GMs a bit too late in the year to kind of make Survivor Series work.
That's what I was gonna say, and I think him doing that now is going to carry over into the next year. What he had to do, what he had to work with for this pay-per-view was okay. We'll get into what I thought was not okay, and I think Basement knows what I'm going with here.
I mean, Survivor Series as a whole was a very mediocre pay-per-view. And the one thing I've noticed with Triple H taking control is we don't get the highs and lows of the past, but you get a steady okay, which is wild because I know he's capable of more than that. But I think they're trying to right a ship. I think they're trying to right a ship. And I know with the long-term booking and stuff like that, it's just like at some point in time you do have to have some payoff, and that payoff doesn't only need to be at WrestleMania. You have to have multiple payoffs throughout the year, and when you start just like he fucking treading water is something Triple H does a lot because he's scared to fucking pull the trigger on things.
We talked about this when we were watching it last night.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead. I'm just saying in general we Basement made that point last night. He's right.
Heather, do you got anything?
No, you're all hitting it on the head pretty much with everything. They need to decide what identity they want to follow with Triple H being at the helm now. And they need to step away from long-term storytelling to a point. They need to be a little bit more concise with ending things that need to be ended or start things that need to be started.
Yeah.
I think one of the biggest things Triple H will face as a problem is how big the WWE is.
Yes.
Like it's a lot easier to book an NXT, a one brand where you have X number of people and you have a clear vision for what you want to do with each division. But WWE is huge, and you're essentially booking 3 brands.
Yeah.
And making them, well, especially 2 that have to intertwine every now and then. It becomes to the point where it's so large that it can never be great.
Well, Sean's got his eye on one of them, not eyes, but eye.
Cyclops.
One of them. All right, rapid fire. Favorite match, moment, thing from the pay-per-view, thing you did not like the most from the pay-per-view.
So we're gonna leave the CM Punk talk away from this for now.
Yeah, because that's its own mountain.
I hated some of the choreographed moments in both War Games matches. Some, not all. But the Bianca Belair spot with her hair in the women's match, I was like, oh god.
Oh, yeah.
And the everybody Randy Orton DDT, except for the fact that he was like pussy shit fuck or whatever the fuck he said before he DDT'd. It's like
yeah.
It's the downfall of those multi-man matches, especially War Games, because War Games is like super spot fest, and it's always the same spots almost. But my question to you guys too is that the pay-per-view was 3 hours long, right?
Mm-hmm.
Wrestling wise, out of that 3 hours, we probably got half of that, right? So say we got an hour and a half of actual wrestling, right?
I can tell you right now, you are correct. The vignettes didn't take that long, but it's more the entrances.
Yeah. So like in ring action, let's say an hour and a half. Honestly, like 65% of that was war games matches.
Yep.
It was too much war games.
Each War Games match lasted over 30 minutes.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, you can never have too much.
War games.
It was too much war games for me. That's the problem. And I
don't
guess
mind the
that's the thing I
3-hour-long
dislike the most.
pay-per-views. I don't mind the 3-hour-long pay-per-views, but I don't know how I feel about. And again, I do agree with the War Games matches. I do agree that they should be like the one War Games match should be at SummerSlam, and
Yeah,
one
just
being
do the women's at SummerSlam one year, do the men's at Survivor Series, and then mix it up the next year. It's not like it's not. I don't understand how they don't come to these conclusions ever.
Again, I know why. And it's just, it is what it is. Is it right? No. But I can tell you that's why they do what they do.
But I do think the other thing that hurt this pay-per-view was the fact that outside of the War Games matches, in terms of other matches, there's nothing really to talk about. None of them were that great to me. The best one was okay, and that was Santos Escobar and Dragon Lee. The other two were it basically felt like a regular Raw or SmackDown match that was almost throwaway. The Rhea Ripley match was absolutely horrible. That was 0 to 10 because all they did was
that was my worst.
In the ring doing rest holds on each other for 10 hours.
I will stand by that it was not Rhea or not Zoe Stark. Because nobody gives a shit about her.
Well, they wanted Rhea Ripley to go out there and work the audience. That was the whole idea. But otherwise, there's no reason to put 1,000 rest holds on someone. But I think they overestimate the popularity of Rhea Ripley as a single star, and not attached to the grand scheme of the mommy fucking Dominic Mysterio shit. Their segments outside of wrestling are more entertaining.
Do not care, and this is why I do not care about Rhea Ripley, because she's stuck in Judgment Day. I do not. I like Rhea Ripley. I really do. I praise her. She is probably one of the best wrestlers on their roster. The problem is she's stuck being a fucking. I don't even know what the fuck she is.
Well, the thing is, she's not a wrestling heel. She's a vocal heel, and that's the problem. She's not good at it. In terms of like working the audience, yelling at them, screaming at them. Yes, in moments like when she like snaps at fans walking up to the ring and things like that, that's fine. But like in a really slow match with a bunch of rest holds where the audience is basically going back and forth with her, it just doesn't work. There's not enough there for her to be respected as a singles wrestler. She's been attached to Judgment Day, and it's a detriment to her.
Yeah, I sorry, I was reading the chat.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I get what they're trying to do with her, but I think she's more popular than I think they think she's more popular than she really is.
Well, they're not capitalizing on it the right way.
All of her popularity is stemming from Dominic Mysterio. It's a lot. Okay, well, there's a shared popularity there. It's like a tale of two people. You can't have her be that and have her be the single star and have both be.
Yeah, they don't know what to do with her. I understand. That's what I'm saying. Is they don't know what they want her to be or do with her per se. Personally, I'm surprised they didn't break her off from Judgment Day sooner, at the very least. But it's not like she's even like the focal point of, you know what I mean? Like it's very weird. Like she was like the focal point of the group for a while, and it's all of a sudden backseat. Like it's fucking bizarre.
Well, they keep changing because the audience reaction is, it's with Dominic Mysterio. It's why it's kind of like a group that a lot of people, it's either hit or miss for you. For me, like, I mean, I look at the group, I'm like, it's a miss for me because I think Dominic Mysterio is a terrible wrestler. I think any of the heat he got is because they pushed him to the fucking moon, and because he was attached to people way better than him. And yes, he can speak, and
Oh,
yes,
yeah.
he's getting heat, but it's that heat that's like, once this
It's
role
go away heat.
diminishes, he's fucking, what is he?
A convicted felon. I say it with air quotes.
But I guess my problem
Um,
with Survivor Series was the matches outside of the War Games matches weren't good, and the War Games matches were the same.
How dare you? Gunter and Miz was a classic.
It was not.
No,
So much
no.
so I completely forgot about it. Heather, favorite, least favorite?
Least favorite was the women's War Games match. Favorite was Dragon Lee versus Santos Escobar.
Why didn't you like the women's War Games match?
Why in the fuck? Not just Bianca Belair with the hair, but why in
Was it
the
like
fuck is Shotzi Blackheart taking a chair to Bailey's hand and just barely tapping it?
Yeah, that
Oh
was
yeah, I
bad.
saw that.
I don't know.
Hi-ya!
Also,
She literally just went,
Oh, I think she lost. I think she lost control of the chair. It happens. I get it.
Yeah.
I'm not. That's nitpicking.
I lost control of my bladder.
he farts from his dick.
My favorite match is Santos Escobar and Dragon Lee. My least favorite was Rhea Ripley, and it's a tie between Rhea Ripley and Zoe Stark. And it's not Zoe Stark's fault. I don't think that Rhea Ripley is as good as people think she is. And Gunther and The Miz was terrible.
Oh, I think Gunter and Miz was at least a step above.
Oh, for sure.
Zoe Stark
Yeah.
and Rhea Ripley. I'm not saying
It was bad, but that match was
I didn't care
horrible.
for either one, and I felt the same about both of them. They were just there to fill that. So if you really wanted to have filler, those were your two filler matches.
I like the
So-
women's War Game match more than the men's because I saw it first.
So real quick side. so quick side note. That was not the initial plan. I believe the initial plan was to do a triple threat between Gunter, Miz, and Ricochet, and they had a fatal four-way.
Hated it.
And throwing Eddie Guerrero to boot. But they were supposed to do a double pin finish for the fatal four-way #1 contendership on Raw. Ricochet picked his shoulder up for whatever fucking reason, so that's why it wasn't in the match. So I think given what they could do with it, I think they did as best as they could do given the situation. Gunter has clearly had better matches. I am not gonna you were gonna get zero argument if you were in that one, but there were some fun moments in there. There was at least that versus compared to Zoe Starks, who already got a women's title shot at Crown Jewel and a fatal fight. It's fucking it's so ass backwards with the booking on that one.
Well, they did do it to where she won a battle royal, so there was a reason why she got another title shot. They just didn't hand it to her.
I'm just surprised they didn't capitalize from her getting the. I don't know. It's bizarro to me, but yeah, I'm with y'all that the Rhea Ripley and Zoe Stark was the work.
It almost feels like a throwaway pay-per-view, honestly.
Well, that's what I'm saying. It doesn't.
Yeah.
I think the biggest detriment to that is that like it's the aura of it being a big four. It did not feel like a big four.
No, it
whatsoever.
hasn't felt like
It
that
felt
for a
like
long time. But I thought the inclusion of War Games would have upped it from the past. It did not for me.
Next year, I think next year it's going to be better. I think next year it's going to be better. Like what to your guys' points about like the GMs, the brands, and maybe they'll fucking hell. We're not getting another pay-per-view until the Rumble. There's I mean, unless you count the NXT special that's in 2 weeks. There's no
NXT. That's not.
There's no PLE until the Rumble, which fuck it, I'm fine with that because give them a goddamn break.
I mean, Deadline does actually look like a pretty good pay-per-view right now.
Yeah, was it Baron Corbin versus Elijah Lila?
I think Baron Corbin might win that match.
I mean, I actually might want to watch that. I'm not gonna lie. That sounds like a very intriguing.
Because I think they are going to bring Ilya Dragunov up to beat Gunther for the Intercontinental title.
Ooh. If not soon, then save it
He
for
is
Berlin.
literally the last person to beat Gunther.
Gunther, faster than lightning. No one can
Gunther,
see.
thanks for asking.
So if you want to know,
That was funny.
if you
Gunther,
want to know
thanks for
how to
asking.
book a Goldberg, if you want to know how to book a Goldberg, just ask Triple H how he's booking Gunther. Because
I just
that's
thought of-
exactly Gunther has not lost in like over a year and a half.
I do feel strongly that Gunther doesn't need to be a guy that never loses. It's just like in the era of fucking Roman Reigns never losing. He doesn't need to be that kind of guy. I don't think there's a call for that. I mean, especially because I don't think Gunther. Yes, he's like physically imposing, but he's not like fucking Brock Lesnar or anything like that. It's
which is one of the reasons I like him, actually, to be honest with you. It's not like he's not like this like fucking beefcake powerhouse. He's a stiff, strong style wrestler that has just been positioned in this dominating speed. Like he's done a very, very good job of like, yes, he has been Intercontinental Champion for over 500 days, but he can be beaten. It's just a matter of finding the right person, place, and time.
I just want to point a couple of things out in the chat. I understand, like Aaron, basically cheap cop out just for people in catering to get a free paycheck for almost nothing. What all of you don't realize is that when they get a match, and I understand that they don't all deserve to be there, you get a bonus. This is like their Christmas bonus. Getting a match at WrestleMania, they get a little bonus for wrestling at WrestleMania. That's why you see so many people wrestling at WrestleMania. And
that's what the Battle Royal is for.
It's Vince.
Not anymore.
It was Vince saying, "Here, thank you guys for doing all of this stuff for us. We're going to give you a little extra and a match at WrestleMania." And there's nothing wrong with that. I just don't think that having it be a 12-hour pay-per-view is a good idea, which is why they split it up into 2 days.
Well, I
don't
don't
mind that.
I don't think like me personally, if it comes to getting an extra paycheck and giving some like WrestleMania time to talent, it's not a bad thing. It's just you have to make sure that you're not doing that at the detriment to the product you're putting out there.
Well,
Right?
that's why the battle royals were such a big part, and they put them on SmackDown. They should have left them on WrestleMania so that way you can do that, and then you put it on the fucking pre-show.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, use the pre-show to highlight, like, okay, like when we watched New Japan, right? The first like fucking hour or hour and 20 minutes of the show, it wasn't really a pre-show, but that's where they had all these multi-man matches until they got to the real shit. They can do that, load the pre-show with a bunch of people because you as a viewer have the option to skip the pre-show, and they never really put anything on the pre-show that's of any importance to the actual fucking main show. So I feel like having that dividing factor, you still give the people the WrestleMania moment if they want to be out there, and you give them a bump in pay, and you give the audience that like timestamp of like if you want to watch it, you can.
Yeah.
I don't think there's anything wrong with that personally, but it's when it's like they try to shove everything and the extension of the like you have 2 nights at WrestleMania and they're both 5 hours long. It's like that. There's no need. There's really no need, and that's kind of where it becomes a bit ridiculous.
So since that was Survivor Series, I guess we might as well talk about the wonderful elephant in the room that I'm pretty sure everybody had the same reaction. In the group that yes, it is a cold day in hell that CM Punk has signed back with WWE. Whew, where to start?
Okay,
I'm
just gonna say this right off the top, and Cody said it best in his presser. If he's here to help, by all means, please. But if he's here to do nothing but fucking cry and complain about not getting the top spot because of who he is, what the fuck are you doing? Because I really think that Seth is pissed off from what I'm seeing. Drew McIntyre is pissed off. People don't like this guy, and there's a reason why. I don't care for I'm never, ever, ever going to be a CM Punk guy. Ever.
The only memorable thing he's ever done is the pipe bomb.
I didn't hate him when he was in WWE the first time. Because he had some... It was really good TV when he was there. Because he made John Cena what he was. He helped make John Cena what he was. Right?
Mm-hmm.
I just don't think... I think Triple H is doing it, and I hope I with everything Triple H has done, I'm going to give it a chance. If he comes back to do the work and put in the work and not expect to be handed shit like he was last time, which is part of the reason why he left in the first place, I'm all for it. Because it'll make WWE better and it'll make wrestling in general. If this doesn't get AEW to fucking grow up and actually put out good quality entertainment,
nothing will.
I don't think anything will. This is AEW's chance to say, okay, let's stop playing fucky fuck time and let's actually fucking put together a really good quality program.
Love fucky time.
What I mean by
Favorite time of the year.
Fuck around.
Yeah. So I went back into my old bag of tricks of reaching out to some people, and so I did my as much digging as I could about this back like when I was doing the OK Fabe stuff, as far as really trying to get as much detailed information about exactly what the fuck happened and what the fuck happened. And
Right.
all the details and everything, because there's a lot to uncover. And the first thing I'll just say is, before I go into this long diatribe of explaining everything that I've read and seen so far, is please take everything I'm about to say with a grain of salt, because it's coming from different sources and different outlets and different mediums. Things could be changed. Other information could be revealed. Things have changed in 24 hours, and there's even still stuff that is on the fence as far as what I've heard, as far as reactions and who knows what, all this stuff. So just take all the stuff I'm about to say with a grain of salt. The first thing I will say is that pretty much from what you heard Triple H say during the press conference after the pay-per-view and off the air is true. The deal came together very quickly, and it's somewhat ironic that basically when all this rumored hubbub about Punk showing up at Chicago for Survivor Series was happening, is there was nothing on the table, and then literally as it was dying down, that's kind of when everything came together as far as a deal. So it's kind of ironic how it's almost the polar opposite of that. The deal, from what I understand, was finalized the day of the pay-per-view, and the initial plan was to have Punk surprise at everybody at the Rumble. He was going to show up at the Royal Rumble as presumably at this point a participant in the Royal Rumble match, but Triple H himself felt that that it would be too hard to keep that big a secret, and they'd rather say, well, fuck it, let's just do it here and let the cat out of the bag and really get a big reaction. Which, I mean, fucking Jesus Christ, you can't say what you will about the guy, whether you love him or hate him. Fucking the amount of social media influencer, like the impressions and everything, as far as like the media stuff, Jesus Christ, like, numbers don't lie.
I think the reaction that they got was what they were expecting from, and it was Chicago, so you knew. I guarantee you, if it was in Cleveland, he probably would have gotten booed.
Well, I don't know about booed, but the point being is that, like, I 1000% agree with Triple H's decision on that. Like, why the fuck would you try to like keep the secret, keep this like under wraps, when knowing the nature of the beast, it's probably going to end up that way, where it's like, hey, fuck it, you live in Chicago, and you come in for like this quick segment and like this big thing. So I don't blame him for that.
There's one thing I will say, and I was gonna say it, or Zol also typed it in the chat. This was when like it's such a weird. I get they want to strike while the iron's hot. They don't want the cat to be out of the bag. They don't want to be catching up to the dirt sheets, and they want to surprise everybody. And I applaud them for doing that. But it was such a weird thing that he just shows up at the end of the fucking. It's not to call anybody out. He's just coming out there to say hello at the end of the fucking Survivor Series War Games. Not only did it put like a blanket over the fucking whole pay-per-view as being, oh, it's the time when CM Punk came back, more than it's anything about anything that happened in the ring with anybody there.
Yeah.
It does. It's going to be a hard pill to swallow for a lot of the wrestlers,
I think
especially.
that's why Seth is pissed off and Drew is pissed off.
Well, I'm gonna get to that.
I think that happening kind of, and so I will say this, and then I'll let Connor do his.
I got one more thing to say too before Connor
Okay.
goes crazy.
He has some apologizing to do.
He has a lot of apologizing to do.
And personally, I think what Triple H should do is have him fucking lose for a year straight. I don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck who he is. He needs to take it on the chin like the fucking man that they say that he says he is, and take some losses because he deserves it. He deserves it.
No, he's getting the belt.
The way, yeah. I mean, when it comes down to it,
I'm kidding.
no, when it comes down to it, there's a large % chance that this is a failure, right? It was a failure with AEW. It was just a pop, and then everything that came afterwards was kind of shit in your pants. With WWE, in my mind, there's one thing they need to do, and anything else short of that will probably be a failure. No matter what you think about the guy, no matter how much you want him to lose or anything like that, as a business decision, he has to be the biggest fucking heel in the company immediately. Not only the heel to the roster, he's got to be a heel to the fans. He's got to embrace what everyone thinks he is and run with it.
And he can do it.
Yeah, he can do it because he can talk on the mic and he can fucking be that bad guy. He has to be hated by pretty much everybody except for fucking Chicago. And
Agreed.
That's the
Except
only
Chicago.
way. Yeah, that's the only way you're gonna get your worth out of his signing. In all honesty,
He can run over a baby in Chicago and they fucking cheer him.
honestly,
Probably would.
At the end of it, the fans will start warming up to him as long as he embraces the suck.
I need him to be a piece of shit. Like, I need him to be himself. Okay, I need him to be a
Hold on.
piece of
I
shit.
agree with you.
That was a great fucking line. As long as he embraces the suck.
What I mean by embraces the suck is he
I know
doesn't
what you meant. I was
get
just
what
laughing at it.
no. I'm not mad about it.
Shutting down.
The decision.
I think he has got by him taking it on the chin, I might warm up to the fact that maybe he is a changed person. Because Triple H did say in his presser, I was a different person 10 years ago. He was a different person 10 years ago. I don't think Triple H is going to bring him back if he thought that he was going to cause problems.
So this move right here is pure business. It's like fucking.
Agreed.
It's completely. It doesn't have nothing to do with the roster. Triple H is making this decision based on what's best for business. Because the loss that they might have with him joining the roster, as long as it doesn't equate to a loss of staff and people leave because he's there, and it's just like, oh, you like. As long as he comes in and does his work, wrestlers can hate him. I don't give a shit, right? Like Triple H is not thinking about the other people. He's not consulting fucking Seth Rollins and Drew McIntyre and all these guys. At least that's what it sounds like with this decision. And if he's making that decision to bring him in now, then run with it, roll with it, let him be the guy he needs to be, so that you can get the worth out of him what you're signing for the next year at least. Because he doesn't have much left on the clock in terms of wrestling. He's pretty shit. He's old, and it shows when he wrestles.
Agreed.
But his mic work is good, and it can be great if given the right role. And you can really get that, like, you can get some gold out of CM Punk for like a year or two. Same way I thought with AEW when they brought him in, and then they fucking shit all over the bed with him and tried to make him like, oh, he's gonna develop young talent. This is
No, he's not.
there's no need to do that with this guy. You bring him in to capitalize on him because that he's going to be a money making machine if
Lesnar.
done well.
He's the next Lesnar.
If done well, yeah, it's just like
Yeah, if done well.
it's just it all depends on how they handle him moving forward. But I think I give it like a 25% chance at being something that will elevate everything, and a 75% chance of falling on its face.
So it is, from what I've heard, it is a multi-year deal. Whether it's 2 or 3, not sure. I would assume 3, because usually WWE does like their initial goings are usually 3-year deals, but it could be a 2-year deal. But at least it is multiple years. Like I said, the deal has been finalized as of the pay-per-view. And I don't know the details as far as like if he's part-time, full-time, whatever. I'll tell you right now, there's no fucking way he's doing house shows. I do not see him doing house shows.
Nor should he be full time.
No, and I agree with that too. I would assume that he's probably going to be on more of a Brock Lesnar-esque schedule, but we'll see how that plays out. He is obviously now been 100% confirmed he's going to be on Raw with Orton on Raw this Monday.
I will say this: you do need to treat him as an attraction.
Yeah.
You
Yeah,
can't,
so we're
you
gonna get
can't
money
have
out of
him
him.
show up every fucking week unless he's in a feud for build to something.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to. You can't have him every week, and that's what people are gonna be like. Well, come we're not seeing CM Punk. It's been 2 months. What is he gonna do? He's gonna come out. He's gonna say something, and that's it.
So the interesting note that I found out while in the midst of all the research was that apparently TNA made an offer. They actually tried to make an offer with CM Punk, but and Punk supposedly, again, take these pieces with grains of salt, molded over. He had been backstage at several Impact Wrestling tapings in the past when he was with the AEW, and he had built up a good rapport with them. They did, give him an offer, but obviously they were like, once WWE got into the conversation, it's like, well, we can't compete with their money, and they kind of understood that, and they're like, we understand, wish him the best, etc., and so forth. Like, it was what it was. They know very full well where they stood financially, but I did find that very interesting that TNA at least tried to make an attempt to get Punk. Supposedly they tried to get him before Bound for Glory back in October, but obviously things didn't pan out and didn't work out for numerous reasons.
It's crazy because like we had this conversation when he returned and he went to AEW, and it's like there was one clear place for him to come back to, and that's where all of his history is from, and the only place he'd really have anything to do. Like he was destined to go back to WWE. He was destined to return to wrestling. And that's why the AEW shit was a pop and nothing more. Because after the pop of him showing up, they didn't have anything that involved him from the past. So what did they do? They just threw him against fucking randos. Here, I mean, I could see CM Punk and fucking if John Cena. I don't know. I thought he got his arm surgerized or something. I don't know what the fuck's happening with that guy.
He did.
But
Yeah,
if he's
out.
available to wrestle at some point in time in the future, I could see them having a match. And there's so many things. The match doesn't matter. It's the history and the closing off of that story that you can do.
So one thing, I think I mentioned this when we were watching the thing, was that I found very intriguing was Triple H had said something, and I'm going to paraphrase this because I'm going to fucking butcher it, but Triple H said something to the effect of like, CM Punk, one of CM Punk's strongest traits is getting people talking about himself.
Yes.
And he basically said without saying it that like that's what WWE's going to look to capitalize, which is fucking smart.
So CM Punk is always like his persona up until this point is always during his most famous time was him against the machine, against the man. Now it has to be him against the people. Honestly, that's what I want. Anything shy of that will be a disappointment because that's his character. That's the one thing he's known for is like standing up the pipe bomb. Fucking even when he went to AEW, he had these fucking like pro-abortion shirts and shit like that. Like, you want this guy to be standing up against something. And with all the bad press he's got, what better thing to do than make him be against the fans?
Exactly.
So the problem that I have with him is he shit all over the fans. He's
And it's
like, "These fans-"
perfect for him to come back and do the same.
Exactly. My problem with him is he shit all over the fans, and he called everybody who's a fan of wrestling a mark, which that's not true. I am a fan of wrestling. I've been watching wrestling longer than CM Punk's been alive. Okay, so I just want the product to be great. Has it been great over the last few years? No, but it's coming around to being pretty fucking good again. It's intriguing. Where wrestling has become more about the fight between two guys, where it's UFC on steroids, if I could use that term, where they can actually cut promos on each other, where UFC, they just have a face-off after the weigh-in and that's it.
But it's also like it's pre-planned so that storylines pay off. In UFC, it's like some guy talks shit the whole time, then gets his fucking dick chopped off in 2 seconds.
Right. Val Venus. But if CM Punk can come there, just do what he's asked, do what we tell you to do, I have no problems with him.
Yep.
I don't want to hear this shit because, I listen to Jim Cornette and there were reports out, people telling CM, and these are the fucking producers backstage telling CM Punk, hey, you need to go talk to Jack Perry because he wants to do this. Why are you putting CM Punk? And this is where I
would not use
why
AEW.
Why are you putting CM Punk in that position? Does he run the fucking company?
AEW and WWE are very different. One is run by adults, the other is run by kids. When it comes down to it with CM Punk, at best you get a great talker, potentially like a returning face of the company, and a great merch mover. At worst, you get stage 4 cancer. So it's like it's a pretty big risk.
Drinking to the rooftops is gonna happen.
So to Basement's point, that's kind of what I was thinking of at first. I'm like, well, what's going to change versus the 2 months ago where he was with AEW? Even then, two very different companies in terms of how they're run and all that stuff. And case in point, WWE is not the same company it was a year ago, right? With the TKO and the Endeavor merger and all that bullshit. Because now, granted, this might be a little apples to oranges example, but like Matt Riddle was like, nope, you're out, boom, bye. Not that he was like a top star per se, but that to me was sort of sending a message a little bit of, we're not tolerating any bullshit.
Yeah, the behavior ain't going to be tolerated.
Right. So if you're pulling any of the shit, you're out. Like, we don't care where you are on the fucking card. And I think we all in agreement, WWE does not need CM Punk.
No.
So it's not the heyday of like, oh, you're a top star or top talent. He'll get his legs cut out from fucking underneath him if he pulls any of the shit that he pulled before with AEW. So the only other thing I'll just also relay this to is a couple other quick notes. I'll try to paraphrase this as much as I can. Talent reception. So a lot of people obviously were looking at what the fuck happened with the footage of Drew McIntyre leaving the arena pretty disheveled and disgruntled, and obviously the flip out of Seth Rollins. Now, supposedly, it's all a work.
I would love that because Seth Rollins is on what brand? Raw. And as soon as I saw that stuff with Seth Rollins like flipping out, Seth Rollins is pretty big company man. I was like, and honestly with how good he is and it's like promo work and stuff like that, I'm like, yeah, this could definitely be leading to a match between the two, and that would be very interesting.
Yep. So
it could be the cash in that happens,
especially with him going on the live event and talking shit too, because
so this is where things are getting a little bit dicey. And again, take this with a grain of salt. Triple H did say that, or it's been reported that Triple H only told a very small handful of people about Punk showing up. In fact, so much so that like he gave the signal to throw the lower third at the end of the pay-per-view and then pull the fucking takeover thing of like the Marvel post-credit scene where Punk shows up afterwards. You can tell it was right out of the NXT like takeover playbook. But allegedly, he did tell some of the top talent that were in the men's War Game match as far as the changing of the end to having Punk come out. Now, I don't know how that affected the changing of the booking of the War Games match, or if it did that change that at
That
all.
probably changed
But
nothing to do with the actual in-ring match. I don't
no,
think.
I wouldn't think so. I wouldn't think so. But one big thing that as far as like talent's reaction to Punk being back, some people are pissed, some people are like whatever, and some people are kind of like, well, let's see how this plays out. The biggest thing that to kind of go back with is that like obviously there's concern about like, well, Triple H pulling this bullshit without like kind of letting people know, and it kind of goes back to what Basement was kind of alluding to earlier of this whole like, yeah, we get like the idea of like trying to keep it hush hush and like blowing the roof off of the place and the element of surprise, which fuck, I'll be honest, day and age in wrestling nowadays is a fucking hard thing to pull off.
Mhm.
But they did. But at the same time, there's also concern that could backfire, where it could shake a little bit of the trust that some talent that Triple H has been trying to nurture to kind of like build up and hype up, where they interject CM Punk literally out of left field.
Right.
And where this can involve WrestleMania. I mean, I don't think you're going to see people walking, but it could explain why Drew McIntyre acted the way he did, because he left before Punk came out.
See,
So
you
he could have
don't
been one of the ones that was
you
told in advance.
yeah, you don't want to hurt your current talent relations by bringing someone in like this. Like that is a really bad
Let alone-
case, especially like
let-
Seth Rollins, who you're
let alone-
banking a lot of things on.
Let alone as quietly as they did too. So there's a little bit of like that dishevelment too.
I do feel
Now-
like though the Seth Rollins and CM Punk thing is gonna equate to a match, and it's gonna be Seth being the everyday worker. He is the working champion, versus the guy that goes and comes when he wants. Like that'll be the basis
if
for
you
that
don't see-
storyline.
In my opinion, if you don't see Seth versus Punk being built now for a match at Rumble, that's your
You're
Mania
missing
match
it.
right there.
Yeah.
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 So
In my opinion, and that's and
I
personally,
think-
I don't want Mania. Give me it at the Rumble, because I still
Same.
want Gunter to take the belt from Seth
I
at Mania.
hope. I think Damian Priest will cash in.
I could see that happening. I actually could see CM Punk versus Seth Rollins at Royal Rumble, and have even like whoever wins between the two, have them lose to Priest, who comes in at the end if they go through like a barn burner, then have that happen.
Yeah.
I mean, you could write it in very different ways, but like I personally on the side of Seth Rollins' reaction being a work
I hope so.
more than
Yeah,
an
it's-
actual reaction.
I think it's actually a work as well. I mean, kudos.
I mean, they might not like each other, but Seth Rollins is a professional. Yeah, I don't think he's
Well, they
gonna
did
I was about to
work
say,
go that
like,
crazy.
They did work together during that whole.
Punk was the leader, the hidden leader of the Shield.
Well, that's what they were gonna go with, but they decided against it.
Yeah.
And on top of that, Seth, like Basement said, is a professional enough to work past. I mean, he had a problem with Riddle, and they squashed that, and they did business together. And so I wouldn't be opposed to that. Plus, the match itself, I'm not saying CM Punk's
I
in
mean,
his
if you're gonna
fucking
put him with
prime
some,
anymore,
if you're gonna
but-
put him with someone,
Yeah,
Did you see what Riddle tweeted though?
yeah, it's like you thought
Yeah.
he had a problem with me,
Which I
you
thought
got
was
this guy.
fucking funny.
I actually
Um,
think like the issues with AEW, like I think they're legitimate, but I think a lot of people gloss over the fact that AEW is run by a fucking couple chimpanzees. Like the
Yeah.
company is so haphazard that, and I also think like okay, so Punk had a problem with WWE, right? He left and he left wrestling. And then when he came back to wrestling, he went to AEW, and I think he found out that like the status of wrestling companies and how they run are very different. And like being in returning to wrestling with the name that he had, and being in AEW, and then being like, what the fuck is going on here? And like JP said, having to consult fucking Jack. But why is he talking to him? Why are your talent doing the jobs of what your managers should be doing?
Correct.
So that won't happen in WWE. That doesn't mean it won't be a train wreck. I don't think any of us are predicting exactly how this is going to go. There is
No.
a very good side of things, and there is a way that it just falls flat on its face. But
Yep.
I don't think there's any way where it's going to end up in between.
No.
So
I-
okay, last little thing I'll throw out there before we move on. Aside, so I think Punk versus Seth is safe to say either gonna happen or we would all like to see it because that's the match like that just writes itself. Give me 3 other people in WWE that you would like to see CM Punk in a match with.
Randy Orton.
Put him back
Ooh,
with John
okay.
Cena, man, in the future. Because there's a lot of history there.
Definitely
The match would
don't
be
want
shit.
to see him and Roman Reigns because that would just
No.
be a little
Keep
squash
them.
match.
He could. I wouldn't mind seeing him against Kevin Owens. Any good worker. He needs a good worker to be with.
You just have a hard
AJ Styles. AJ
You think him and
Styles.
Sami Zayn,
Sami Zayn.
So-
anybody that can work well in the ring.
Cody Rhodes.
Cody Rhodes would be a good one because there's AEW history.
Yeah, I think it's funny. I was thinking about like where he could fit in the Mania card, and let's assume that like none of the plans for Mania get affected by him coming in, which I would hope the fuck not. I would put him in the ring with Styles at Mania. That I think would be a perfect high enough profile match. You know it's going to deliver at least on the basic level because of Styles. And to my knowledge, outside of Ring of Honor, they've never touched.
Yeah, well, he basically needs to wrestle guys that can work in the ring. Because he can still work, but it's bad. Like, he needs help. So you don't want the in-ring product to be shit. But he can, yeah, exactly. But it seems like age has fucking destroyed this man. Like, like I saw him wrestle in AEW, and I was like, oh my fucking Christ.
Well, I was about to say, plus he's been injured a couple of times in AEW already. So, I mean, you want to kind of like.
Well, he turned into a lesbian and got his ass beat in fucking UFC.
This is why I say Randy Orton would be the perfect opponent for him because Randy
Another
Orton
good one.
keeps the match slow.
Yep. Ooh, it might be too
And
slow
he's
though with
safe.
those two. But I agree. I think they could work well together. There's a bunch of people he could go face to face with. The one thing he brings that a lot of wrestlers don't is the mic work, which is something so hard to come across. Like he's a better version of the Miz. He's better on the mic and better in the ring even now than the Miz is.
I think at the end of his run, he will then go into the WWE Hall of Fame.
I mean,
as long as things go well, which I'm pretty sure, honestly, I think they will. Even I don't think there's gonna be this blow up of
I feel like we're all treating his contract like fucking it's on tissue paper right now.
Yeah, but I don't feel like the attitude problem will explode because you got to look at it from another point of view. Like this is where's he gonna go? This is outside of this. You fuck this up. Where you'll go to TNA. Just what is he doing? Fucking CM Punk World Tour. He's gonna be an NJPW by the time he's 70.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Code of personality. All right, good stuff. Let us know your thoughts about Punk too, because we want to definitely hear your thoughts on the Chizat. And then I know JP
Punk versus whole locker room.
I mean, shit, they've already done. They did a match in before where it was Randy Orton and John Cena versus the entire Raw locker room.
Oh God, guys, we forgot Punk versus Ryback.
Oh God,
yes.
Bring Ryback back.
Oh, too bad. Ryback now.
Ryback at the Rumble.
He said Ryback said he would retire from wrestling if CM Punk returned.
I'm gonna tell you.
Only if it was AEW.
I was about to say I will chuckle and give him a little bit of credit. He's like, no, he had to return to AEW. I'm like, you dick.
Ryback.
I have to set my hat to that one.
Ryback versus CM Punk tables match.
They did that.
I know. That's someone he was like, fucking injured me.
I was listening to Solomon and he basically says like, not for nothing. Don't you have to be fucking in a ring to be a wrestler? When's the last time we actually saw Ryback fucking wrestle?
Yeah, I don't know what. Okay, the last time I saw Ryback, it was on Twitter making out with Shrek.
Yeah.
I don't know if anybody else saw that.
That fucking filter that you got on either Instagram or Snapchat. It's Shrek on top of you.
Oh God, I just found it.
Yeah.
Anyway.
This last bit, so we're gonna switch gears here from punk and wrestling since I think we covered enough of it. This one I know is near and dear to JP's heart because JP is the one who is spearheading the Star Wars Roundtable. Shout out, cheap plug there. Which we'll be back with what Rogue One is next Saturday, right?
Next week, yep.
Yep. We've already done the first 3 episodes. We did do Solo, so you can check those out on all your favorite platforms. But Dave Feloni, our Lord and Savior, has taken the helm as the main manager for all Star Wars content.
He's
if I'm not
the
mistaken.
Triple H of Disney.
Yep.
He's
the Star Wars
He's the
division.
creative content. He's
So-
a content creator. So he
Worst
is
decision they could have made. I'm
No.
fucking
No,
kidding.
absolutely. the
best
100%.
decision they
the
could have made.
best decision that they made. So he can override anything Kathleen Kennedy says now.
Put a
So
chick.
if she says we have to do this, he's gonna look at her like,
No, we're not putting a chick in her. Not making her a limit. We're not making her gay.
not happening.
I didn't see
So-
the GIF until just now.
I think well, this Dave Filoni worked in direct correlation with George Lucas. So everything George Lucas knows, Dave Filoni knows.
Well, the good thing with Dave Filoni is he's part of the actual fucking Star Wars lore. I'm pretty sure, isn't he like responsible for the character of Ahsoka?
He is.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you get like the super fan.
Entire brainchild.
He is the creator of the Mandalorian.
So what I'm
He
looking
is
forward
a
to.
really good. The reason I like Dave Filoni is he doesn't give anything away.
Yes.
He's about as close to George
doesn't-
Lucas as you can fucking get to.
He doesn't fucking tell you shit. He tells you everything without telling you nothing. So you stand there and you go, well, let's speculate. Which is, he does a great job because then you get this interaction with the fans. They're like, well, maybe he might do this. And then you get that fan creation. You know, those fan films? That is basically what Star Wars is built on. You know that expansion universe that
Well,
you
I mean
always talk
that's
about,
essentially
that is Dave Filoni loves that shit.
well, that's essentially what he did. It just happened to because of his where he was within Disney and within fucking Star Wars. That like it ended up being part of the fucking actual lore. Like he is very much a fucking fan filmmaker. It was just he had the know-how and the money to make it part of the fucking lore. What I'm hoping for when it comes to Star Wars is to get back to the stories they're telling, not the fucking bullshit.
Well,
like
they
the
hired the
last,
right guy for it.
yeah, that's where my hope is really, because the last trilogy, the story was absolute ass. I mean, there was a story there, but it was just so fucking chopped up and mangled that by the end I was like, I don't really know what the fuck I'm
Yeah,
watching.
we'll get to
So-
that when.
But like this is what I'm hoping for. I'm hoping they get back to telling Star Wars stories, not Star Wars. It's the universe of Star Wars reflecting identity politics. I don't want
Yep.
that. Nobody wants
Yeah,
that.
I mean, I agree, and I think Dave Filoni, there will be those kind of things, but they won't be the central to the story.
But
So
as long
real
okay, you can. I just identity politics in films and shit like that most of the time is insertions. It's not like we're gonna have we can have a trans character, but that's all their character is trans. Like you have a character, you have some sort of actual storyline built around this character. Them being trans is just a fucking byproduct. That is where they need to go back to, not this fucking insertion and be like,
Agreed.
look at this, look how inclusive we are. Look, if the Force is female. The Force is fucking the Force. It's not female, you dumb bitch.
Right.
Yeah.
Just real quick in terms of his credentials, Filoni has pretty much served on everything that almost everything that wasn't like the main movies of Star Wars. So it looked like he was the initial director for. Hold on, I just had it here. God damn it! The Clone Wars, the Clone Wars animated movie, and then eventually the Clone Wars
He's
animated
the
show.
expanded universe
Yep.
guy. He like fleshed out
Yep.
all of Star Wars.
He did. He's done. Let's see what else we got here. Did Star Wars Rebels for all 4 of his seasons as the executive producer, and then obviously more notably, he also as JP just mentioned, Mandalorian, Book of Boba Fett, Ahsoka, Skeleton Crew. Looks like he
Bad
was also doing work on the Bad Batch. Yep, and then it sounds like it says in April 2023 it was announced he would be directing a Star Wars film, closing out these interconnected stories with a focus on the New Republic. He's very, very good at like interweaving these smaller stories into everything.
You know where he came from? He came from The Last Airbender.
Italy.
Yeah, I just read that just now, and I'm like, God damn it.
The Last
No, actually-
Airbender is great.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
he
In
phenomenal.
all
did it.
honesty,
That was him.
like I have no problem with Dave Filoni. I think he's like my only worry is that it's like, oh, they're kind of being like, we promoted him to be like, trust
Kevin
us,
Feige.
please trust us.
No,
I
mean,
just
if
I
you're gonna
just
get
don't.
somebody to steer the ship. Shit, I mean, he
Yeah.
seems like he's more than qualified. And I mean, granted, I haven't watched Ahsoka yet. I still fucking gotta catch up. But
Really?
I've
Haven't seen
seen
it
I've seen Mando. I've seen Book of Boba, and even though we were all like, Book of Boba was kind of like, still fucking, I still enjoyed it.
I haven't seen it.
It's all right.
Yeah, but my point is that like I've seen enough of his work without having seen all of his work to know that like I trust them. I think it's a smart move, and I know
It's
JP would love to gobble on him.
It's basically it's putting a fan that knows the fandom and knows the material and knows all of it in charge versus somebody that was kind of like, I'm going to use a term that I don't really care for, virtue signaling. As
No,
like
yeah, I know what you mean.
the head of the fucking corporation being like, oh, the world is going this way, so let's change our product to fit that.
Right.
No, never do that, please God.
Even like-
I'm just this brings me some hope because I love Star Wars and I do feel like it lost its way, kind of. There's the possibility. This is like the CM Punk thing, man. The possibility of having something great is huge, but you have
Yeah.
to like care for it. You can't just throw shit out there.
Right.
We're also part of a generation that has been fucked over creatively with some of these major properties before.
Oh yeah.
Marvel. So
Yeah.
man, that cough is fucking killer. So it's right to be skeptical.
Yep. I get it, but I would trust more with Dave Filoni than I would anything else.
Yeah.
I agree
I
with that.
think- Sorry, go ahead.
They-
Heather.
Yeah.
I'm gonna head out actually. So, but
All right.
crash.
There you go.
Let the
There you
force
go,
be
jerk
with
off to
you.
pictures of Dave Filoni.
Coming, Mo.
May the force be with you.
Yeah,
Force
go to
it,
bed.
Have a good night,
force
guys.
it in there.
Bye-bye.
You force it in there.
It's when it comes down to it, you want somebody who's been on the inside of the franchise for as many years as Dave Filoni has. Because he's literally one of a handful of people that are actually going to know what the actual focus of this story from the start was.
But he also loves it, and
Yeah.
he's not. This is a big problem with a lot of modern day writers. I see it more with women writers. I'm not trying to be sexist, but the self-inserting that kind of has ruined a lot of franchises. Where it's like, I'm going to put myself in this movie or video game or whatever it is, and it's like, no. I mean, he created Ahsoka, which is like, it was a young fucking Twi'lek girl or whatever. I think that's what their names are, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah. And it's like, yeah, completely different than what he is. So it's like, when you can tell a story that doesn't involve you can probably tell a pretty good story. But I've seen so many self-inserts in the last fucking 5 years, especially, that
Right.
have ruined things. Velma. I don't really care about
God.
Scooby-Doo, but Jesus Christ, was that one of the biggest fucking problems with self-inserts? No, JP's back.
Jinkies, yo.
Sorry.
Blow it out
Yeah,
your
it's
ass.
just everything that's been going on with Hollywood down to with this shit is just like, no, I'm done. I'll go back and watch old movies. I don't care. They were more entertaining.
But you see how long it took. I think we're at that turning point too because there's so many franchises. Star Wars is just one of them that got hit with it. Indiana Jones was Indiana Jones failed and then doubled down and turned even worse.
Yes.
So like it's just I don't understand. Like there's this push in Hollywood to make movies for no one by trying to
Yeah.
make movies for everyone.
Yeah. I mean, and Indiana Jones and Star Wars, they're both under Kathleen Kennedy. So
Yeah.
there's a clue for you,
Yeah, she's
Hollywood.
obviously a problem. I mean,
Shame.
when it comes to the MC, and I hope Star Wars goes with a more restrained approach, not like Marvel for a while there, that was just shitting things out constantly. And I think
Yeah.
Marvel's gonna reel back quite a bit too. I didn't know we talked about them doing like only one movie next year, but I think they're gonna be forced to reel back because it's killing their brand.
Oh God, yeah. I mean, it's killing the industry in and of itself.
That is true. It's killing also the actual
Yeah.
theater industry.
Yes.
Because and it's weird because I saw this thing right where people were like, well, the thing that kept the theater industry alive was Marvel. I'm like, I think Marvel was the thing that actually killed the theater industry. It
Because that drove
capitalized on
people
it.
more to movie theaters than Broadway.
No. Like I'm talking about the movie theater industry because though it
Okay.
had huge movie theater numbers, it became such a dominating force where nothing else could breathe that when that will inevitably fail, people will stop going to the theaters for anything else. It kind of like it sucked the oxygen out of any other movie type. And
It
like,
did.
eventually when people got tired of the Marvel movies or superhero movies, they're not going to go as much, but they're not going to go as much to anything. So as many like and the thing I saw was like, oh, they reinvigorated, they changed the movie theater scene. I'm like,
They actually damaged it by oversaturating and then, of course, implementing the straight to streaming same day release as theater
they
during
spiked
COVID.
they spiked the industry to like be they really fucking killed it for like 10 years. And then it's
Yeah.
like, all right, now it's now we're leaving it and it's
Yeah.
dead. But I hope Star Wars doesn't get into that pattern. I feel pretty confident with Dave Filoni. As far as Star Wars, sorry, as far as the MCU goes, I think they're in like repair mode. I hope to God, and they have to
Yes.
stop hiring. The MCU keeps hiring these fucking unproven directors because they like. And I saw this on something else. I can't remember where it was, but it's like they cast directors. They don't hire. It's like we're gonna bring in this director for their name, their what minorities they hit, and they're gonna have one movie under their belt that was like some indie garbage.
Yeah.
And then we're gonna make them. We're gonna give them $300 million to make a movie that we
Not
basically
wrong.
pull the puppet strings on them. This is why like a fucking what's her face, the girl that directed the Marvels was like, as soon as she wrapped the movie, she walked out of there. She's like, I'm gonna make another one because I'm pretty goddamn sure like she was the
Yeah.
one. She was the face director, but the director was the overarching monster behind her. That was like, you got to do this, you got to fit this in, you got to do this.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's exactly what it is. And it doesn't
That's
help. In or out phone.
that's the one hope I have for the DCU with James Gunn. If he can,
Yeah.
if he can practice restraint and
Never.
not dip his dick in everything that they're making.
Oh, is that James Gunn's dick? Okay, what? The only other thing we have on here is the note about
Give me
the
one second.
company. Yeah, okay. Real quick on the Marvel note, though, just to kind of follow up on that real quick while we're killing for time. I think that Marvel has it's a weird it's a weird dichotomy with them in the theater industry. I think on one hand they brought it out of the darkness after COVID, but then at the same time also did just as much to damage it. So it's a double-edged sword.
I feel like they did. Okay, so they made superhero movies, but superhero movies were detrimental overall to film
Mm-hmm.
because they overtook everything. And
Yeah.
then now you're trying to recover from that, where people won't go watch like regular drama movies or anything like that. It was like, oh, we can only watch fucking superhero movies or big summer blockbusters. So there's gonna be a recovery time. Um, I don't know. When it comes to superhero movies, I don't know what Marvel's gonna do because they've dug themselves a pretty deep hole, and I don't know. Like
I think the reboot's gonna have to be a thing, and I
I
think that
I,
like
I don't
I think they're.
like that idea.
I'm not saying I'm not saying I like it either, but we'll talk more about Marvel stuff.
Well,
Trust me, when we
honestly,
get closer to it.
what I would do, just go back to when was the first Iron Man? When did that come out?
Oh wait,
Oh wait, honestly, don't reboot. Just go to Earth 811C. Oh wait, and just do the X-Men story. Honestly, like that's a reboot technically, but it's not. It's like you're
oh
changing the franchise, but you're
I
kind
was
of
gonna,
resetting things.
yeah, that's kind of what I meant by a reboot. Like in terms of like the Secret Wars angle creatively gives them the freedom to leave the door wide fucking open in order to kind of for a better analogy or worse, etch a sketch, erase everything,
But
and kind of start fresh, for lack of a better phrase.
they're gonna try to patchwork in the X-Men to this fucking what is essentially the failed part of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and it's
Yeah.
gonna be to a detriment of the X-Men storyline.
And hell, I'll tell you right now, mild spoilers.
I know.
I'll try and keep it. Fuck. For those who haven't seen the Marvels, and we're Drew, the end credits scene, the post end credit scene for the Marvels does involve an X-Men cameo.
Yeah,
And
which is
I don't.
what a
It's a weird.
fucking decision. I think okay, you're gonna first of all,
I'm not defending it.
they pretty much tossed that movie out like bad meat. like they just
Yes.
threw it out there
yeah.
to the wolves. Nobody really cared for it. Even if it was a good movie, it wouldn't have had a very big audience. But it's apparently not, and apparently the movie seems like it was destroyed on the cutting room floor. But then to integrate like the future of what you're trying to accomplish on one of the worst projects you're putting out seems like a fucking idiotic idea.
A lot of times, yes.
Yeah, it's getting trickier. But I will say this: for every Marvels that comes out, Loki season 2, which
I still have
mother
to
of
watch
God,
it.
ooh, it's it's damn good. It is very damn good. Although I will say, I had to rewatch a couple of conversational pieces at the end of the last episode because Brain Amno works so good, and
I mean,
I had to like.
I think Loki season 1 for me was probably my favorite Disney Plus show for Marvel.
Yeah, this made me switch up my order, and you know how much I suck off
Fucking-
Captain
yeah,
America.
you need to do better, Connor.
Man, that's not fucking irony. But anyway, we can go on that for fucking hours. But the only other thing we have here on the show is the animations department with the creators of Wallace and Gromit and Chicken Run are apparently running out of clay.
There's a specific type of clay that they use for stop motion animation or claymation. And the only place that made this, it's neoplasticine. The company that invented this stuff and made it ended up having to be shut down. And
Damn.
the studio bought everything that they had left in their warehouse. And now they literally have only enough clay left to do another Wallace and Gromit movie.
I have a question. Isn't it
Yes.
all reusable?
I don't think
Probably not.
so.
Like, I mean, the character of Wallace and Gromit, like once they're made, you can kind of just keep using it. Does it deteriorate or something? Like,
It's what it is this clay, because of the near plastic molecules that are in it, it holds its shape for such a long time that it would be very hard to rework it into anything else. And with Wallace and Gromit, they do a wide range of different stories. I mean, they have one where fucking Wallace ends up turning into a werewolf because he was bitten by the were bunny.
so okay.
I miss those movies.
The company, that makes the fucking shit is gone under, but it's not like that. Like, I mean, I don't know how popular Wallace and Gromit is, or how popular the studio is that produces it. So I don't know how much money it would take to like get something up and running that could produce that clay.
That's what this studio is trying to do. They're trying to figure out the formula so they can just make it themselves.
Wow, fuck. I mean, I watched Chicken Run. I've never really watched Wallace and Gromit. I've seen a couple things with Wallace and Gromit, like snippets, but I've never watched the full thing. Chicken Run was fun.
Chicken Run was a lot of fun. They are doing a sequel to that movie. It's already
fucking
hot.
20 years later.
Okay.
Oh, speaking of movies, real quick, just on a side tangent here. Do you guys see the trailer for the new Ghostbusters movie coming out?
I saw it. I did not have the sound on it. I just watched a pretty pictures move.
I did not see
It
it
looks
yet.
interesting.
But I didn't see Afterlife.
You should. It's pretty good. It's it's not perfect, but they definitely captured a lot of the spirit of the original two in terms of like just like, and also
I just hate that kid that's in every fucking movie.
If you love Stranger Things, then my God,
fucking Finn, fucking Dickface,
Woodrock,
whatever his name is. Like that kid. I don't know. He's in everything. He's in Stranger Things, and he was in it. He's not like terrible or anything. It's just like, good God.
I've seen enough of your face. Go away.
You're really capitalizing on your 10 to 15-year-old age.
That sentence.
Yeah.
Also, I never really got what I wanted out of Ghostbusters, which was what should have happened. Like, number 2 was a cash grab.
Oh, absolutely it was.
But they could have made a better movie than that. I think a lot of I blame Bill Murray for most of it.
But I mean, the concept I think is the new one is that there's like a massive like ice storm in the summertime in New York, and so visually it looks really neat.
It's an ancient Chinese emperor who is also Mr. Winter in a sense.
It's pronounced Mr. Winter.
Winter.
Fry.
I have to watch Afterlife. I mean, I have nothing against like most of the Ghostbusters movies were fun except for one.
The women's.
I didn't even watch the women's one, and
Yeah,
oh my God, it was bad.
Yeah, it was.
I said, "Where's all my wontons? Why do you keep ordering from a place that never gives you the amount of wontons you want? You dumb piece of shit." Fucking hated that movie so much.
I will freeze you all.
I'm pretty sure they threw Bill Murray out of a window.
Yeah, they did.
See, that I wouldn't have minded, but
It was that movie was so bad.
yeah.
Just as a movie, it was bad.
I did not have to watch it to know it was going to be bad. When I sat there and fucking saw a clip of the Leslie, I think her real name is.
Yeah, Leslie. Well, I don't know what the last name is.
I don't remember it either. She had a ghost attached to her proton pack, and she's just like, "I'm just gonna leave. I had a day. I'm just gonna leave."
I honestly feel like
it was gonna be bad.
The person that directed it was just like, we're gonna do a lot of ad lib So we're not going to write a script, but you girls are funny enough, and I'm not going to give you any
You would
direction.
think-
No,
you
they're
would
not.
think with people like Leslie, Melissa, and fucking Kristen that it would have been fucking hilarious.
Well, you still need a script. It was just a lot of ad lib that went nowhere, and with the script was whatever structure they had was terrible. Like,
It was done. I've
and
been
even
saying that
visually,
it was
wasn't.
done.
It wasn't. I don't know. The movie was shit.
Yeah.
That's all I can tell you.
I was just thinking, we haven't done like bad movie watch-alongs in a while, but maybe if we pick like a really shitty Christmas Hallmark movie.
Hallmark, yeah, whatever. I'm down for anything. I've been yearning for a bad
You've
movie.
seen one Hallmark movie. You've seen them all.
That's the
They never change. The only thing that changes are the actors and actresses.
I've been
what I'm saying
yearning for a bad movie. I was like, last time we watched a movie together, Connor. I don't think you were there, but I was like, man, let's watch one of those shit movies. What did we end up watching, Heather? I can't remember what it was, but it wasn't shit.
Champion with Woody Harrelson.
No, it was after that.
It was the last
Oh, I think we
movie
just
that I
ended up
watched.
watching fucking wrestling.
Yeah, you guys watched like NWA.
Yeah, I can't. I never again.
No, we did that. We also watched the South Park special.
Yeah,
I was there for that one. That was fucking.
We
great.
watched it once before without
I
you.
was gonna say the last movie I remember watching together was Cocaine Bear.
that was all right. It should have been better, but it
It
delivered
should
on
have been
its.
better. However, it did not go past what it was advertised to be, which was a
Yeah.
good thing.
Also, if you watch the trailer, you might as well not watch the movie. And a lot of
Apparently,
yeah.
apparently all the Hallmark movies are on Peacock.
good.
Okay.
Let's watch every single Santa Claus round table.
There are
Jesus.
3 movies plus the series.
Oh my god, there's a series. I don't
Yeah,
know.
I just heard about that too. Hold on, let me see. Worst Hallmark Christmas movies. Here we go. Beautiful. I found the 13 worst. All right, let's see what we got here.
If any one of those movies, given how many shark movies there have been made, if none of them involve a shark, I'm out.
The top. Okay, so the apparently according to this list, the top worst Hallmark Christmas movie is called A Christmas Wedding Tale, spelled Tail. In this Christmas special, a couple met in a weird way when their dogs met in the park and immediately make plans to be wed.
This sounds like Dalmatians. 101 Dalmatians.
Things are more complicated. No, it's not the parents, it's the dogs. Things are more complicated than that, however, as the children of both parents have objections to the union on the grounds that they can't get along with each other as family. Therefore, it's up to oh my god. Oh, this sentence, it just makes me so happy. Give me a minute. Things are more complicated than that, however, as the children of both parents have objections to the union on the grounds that they can't get along with each other as family. Therefore, it's up to the telepathically communicating dogs to bring the prospective family together in time for the biggest event that they may ever witness. Oh, that sentence right there, just fucking
It's a parody of Look Who's Talking.
Give it to me. Inject it into my veins.
The Santa incident. Who thought that a Hallmark Christmas movie would cross paths with secret agents and aliens? In his 2010 film, give me a minute. In this 2010 film, Homeland Security mistakes Santa's sleigh for an alien spacecraft, causing him to crash land in a small town while being pursued by a posse of scatterbrained secret agents. Forced to create this Christmas magic he manufactures every year without his workshop or tools, he ends up turning the neighborhood into an impromptu toy factory. That sounds like a fucking sci-fi original special.
That it does.
Cheerful Christmas, Mr. Miracle, Santa Switch, Baby's First Christmas, Three Wise Women. Oh, that sounds promising.
Oh, yeah.
Battle of the Bulbs, Christmas in Harmony, Christmas Pageant, A Gingerbread Romance. Is that one of the Tamara twins? It is. A Holiday in Harlem. Holiday in
Harlem.
Oh, yes.
Oh.
I can hear Ray. I can hear Ray shot. Racist.
Pop Races the leaves. A Holiday in Harlem was a charming movie that was released in 2021. However, it was one of the lowest rated Christmas movies for Hallmark of the year. Starring Olivia Washington and Will Adams, the comedy follows two unsuspecting people who fall in love around Christmas time. Busy worker Jasmine Carter goes home for the holidays to please her grandmother, but winds up staying longer than she expected to help with her childhood neighborhood's Christmas jamboree. When she ran into an old friend, she realized being home for the holidays wasn't so bad after all.
It sounds like the most generic fucking movie.
It's Hallmark, dude.
I love it. I want it.
A Holiday in Harlem. Oh God, I need to look and see if there's a trailer for this.
You know there's going to be.
Merry Christmas, motherfucker.
Yep, sure is.
Amazing. Don't lie to me.
You doing that just reminded me of Samuel L. Jackson and the Capital One commercials where John Travolta is Santa.
Oh God.
Oh God, yeah, I saw those commercials. I meant to bring those up. This like, there's nothing like it just happens to be in Harlem. There's no like. Okay, that looks like even lame. But anyway, that's all. That's all I got for this week. Anything else, guys?
We could watch I'll Be Home for Christmas starring Jonathan Taylor Thomas.
Oh my God, I haven't watched that in.
That's an old one. That's an oldie.
It
Holy shit.
is. And it proved he was forever going to be a home improvement kid.
Mm-hmm. We'll find some fucking horrible horse shit to watch very soon.
Oh yeah,
I know for sure. But I actually enjoy watching really bad movies.
I do too. I mean, especially when you get to enjoy some extra calories.
Hey, listen.
And just breeze through it.
I'm clearly a fan of Mystery Science Theater 3000, so I like to live on that spirit of.
Maybe we'll do that for December. Fucking 12 days of shit movies. Whatever.
12 days of shitmas.
It will be glorious.
12 days of shitmas.
Yeah, there you go. By the way, we are also dangerously getting close to 100 episodes of No Bucks Given.
Oh my.
If we continue the path where nothing happens, and let's face it, something will happen.
Probably.
We will probably hit the 100th episode somewhere around the January 21st of 2024. That's again, that's provided that no delays or anything like that may happen, but we'll have to see. So I'll have to start coming up with some ideas. Otherwise, it'll be delayed till probably fucking February. Don't look at me like that.
Well, considering I literally had to call you.
Look, I had a massive fucking headache and took some ibuprofen and some horse tranquilizer. I almost said whore tranquilizer. That would have been fucking funny as hell.
Wait, ROH has tranquilizers?
Yeah,
that's how they keep their fans around.
TK special. That's how they keep their fans around. I got them from Basements NXT.
Yeah. Everybody at NXT had rabies. All right.
Because I gave them to them.
That's why they were in the cages.
But anywho, yeah, so just something we'll have to come up with some ideas for the 100th episode for sure. But that's gonna be, we're gonna blink and that's gonna be fucking here.
Honestly, I feel like we could do the movie watch-alongs on Wednesdays because we don't want to have a game to play. We have Diablo, but that's gonna take us 10,000 years to get through.
Time to play the game.
Actually, not really. If we can go for longer than an hour on a night or two with it.
Don't forget, I'm on your team.
Yeah, I know. That's why I'm saying if we could go for longer than an hour or two, it shouldn't take us too much longer.
Well, if we can beat Diablo in the next 2 weeks somehow, then we can do December Wednesday shit fucking holiday movies.
There we go.
All right. Works for me. So make sure, if you're a watcher listening, subscribe so you guys can keep along with all the crazy action. Make sure you check out all the other cool stuff we did, HGGM mode and the like. And on that note, I think we're good. Anything else, Basement Heather, before we wrap it up this evening?
No, sir.
All right, bitchin'. So until next time, y'all, peace the fuck out.
Acknowledge me.